Right now, over 91 million Americans are using an app that Wall Street calls the fastest growing debt trap in modern history. And the wildest part? Most of them don't even realize they're in debt. It looks like a discount. It feels like a hack. 4 easy payments, 0 interest, buy now, pay later. But behind that friendly little checkout button is a business model that's quietly rewired how an entire generation spends money, and it's working exactly as designed. By the end of this video, you're going to see why the fastest way to go broke in 2026 isn't a credit card. It's 4 interest-free payments of $25.
And I promise you, the company making the most money off this isn't who you think it is.
So here's how it works on paper. You're buying something, let's say a $100 pair of sneakers. Instead of paying all at once, you split it into 4 payments of $25, spread over 6 weeks. No interest, no credit check most of the time. Just tap, approve, done. Sounds harmless, right? It's marketed as the responsible alternative to credit cards. No 24% APR, no minimum payments spiraling out of control, just a smarter way to shop. But here's the first red flag nobody talks about. This isn't a payment plan. It's a psychological trick. When you see a $100 price tag, your brain registers it as $100. But when you see 4 payments of $25, your brain registers it as $25. That's it. Studies on what's called payment decoupling show people spend up to 20% more when the pain of paying is spread out and disguised like this. So the product isn't really the sneakers. The product is your brain. And BNPL is exploiting a bug in it that credit card companies figured out decades ago.
This isn't actually new. In the 1980s, credit card companies discovered the exact same trick. They realized that if you let people swipe a card instead of handing over cash, spending goes up by as much as 100%. Cash feels real. Plastic doesn't. Buy now, pay later just took that discovery and pushed it one step further. It doesn't just remove the pain of cash, it removes the pain of the full price too, by chopping it into pieces so small your brain barely registers them as debt at all. And just like the credit card boom created a generation buried in card debt by the 2000s, BNPL is creating the exact same pattern right now, except this time it's targeting people who specifically avoided credit cards because they were scared of debt. That's the twist. The people using BNPL the most are the same people who thought they were being financially responsible by avoiding credit cards in the first place.
And that's exactly where this gets dangerous. Because unlike a credit card, there's basically nobody watching how much debt you're actually racking up.
Here's the part that should genuinely scare you. Credit card companies are required to report your debt to credit bureaus. Lenders can see exactly how much you owe across every card you have. BNPL companies, for years, most of them reported almost nothing, which means you could open 5 different buy now, pay later plans across 5 different apps, Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, Sezzle, PayPal, Pay in 4, and not one of those companies would know the other 4 exist. You could be $2,000 deep in split payments and still get approved for a 6th one, because on paper, you look completely debt-free. This is called phantom debt, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Debt that's real but invisible to the entire financial system tracking it. And when people inevitably miss a payment, that's when the zero-interest, no-fees marketing quietly disappears. Late fees, reactivated interest, some platforms charging up to 30% APR retroactively the moment you're late, the exact thing BNPL promised to save you from in the first place. According to a 2025 Federal Reserve study, over 43% of BNPL users have missed at least one payment, and nearly 1 in 4 users are using Buy Now, Pay Later specifically to cover essentials, groceries, gas, utility bills, not sneakers, not vacations, food.
So how did an entire industry built on splitting up sneaker payments end up financing people's groceries? That's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about Klarna, the biggest name in this space. Klarna isn't a lender in the traditional sense. It's valued at over $14 billion, and it makes money in 2 ways that most users never think about. First, merchant fees. Every time a store lets you Klarna it, that store pays Klarna a cut, often 2 to 6% of the sale, way higher than a normal credit card processing fee. Why would a store agree to that? Because BNPL increases how much people spend per order by roughly 30 to 50%. Stores are willing to give up a bigger cut because the total pie gets so much bigger. Second, late fees and interest once you slip. And Klarna knows exactly how many users will slip because they've built entire risk models around it. Then there's Affirm, which went public in 2021 and has partnered directly with Amazon, meaning buy now, pay later is now baked directly into the biggest checkout button on the internet. And here's the part that should really make you pause. In 2024, DoorDash partnered with Klarna to let people finance their food delivery orders. Think about that for 1 second. You can now take out a 4-payment loan to get a burrito delivered to your apartment. That's not a payment innovation. That's a company realizing they can turn any purchase, no matter how small, into a financing product and collect a fee on it either way. A 2025 Lending Tree survey found that 48% of BNPL users regretted at least one purchase they made specifically because splitting the payment made it feel affordable when it actually wasn't. And it's not evenly spread across the population either. Gen Z and millennials make up the overwhelming majority of users, the same generations already carrying record levels of student debt and getting priced out of housing. BNPL didn't create financial stress. It found the generation already under the most financial stress and handed them a tool that makes overspending feel invisible.
So if this is causing so much damage, why hasn't anyone stepped in? In 2024, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau actually tried. They proposed rules that would force BNPL companies to follow the same disclosure laws as credit cards: clear reporting, standardized late fee limits, credit bureau reporting. The BNPL industry spent millions lobbying against it, and by 2025, under a new administration, those proposed rules were quietly rolled back before they ever took effect. Here's the incentive problem in plain terms. BNPL companies make more money the more people spend and the more people slip into late fees. A version of this industry that's safer for consumers is, by definition, a less profitable version of this industry. There is no version of Klarna that both protects you and maximizes shareholder value at the same time. So, until regulation forces their hand, or until enough of these companies start collapsing under bad debt, the growth story continues. And right now, that growth story is still going up and to the right.
So let's go back to where we started. 91 million Americans, a checkout button that feels like a discount, a generation that avoided credit cards specifically to be responsible, funneled straight into a product with even less oversight. This isn't a story about broke people making bad decisions. It's a story about an entire industry engineering a checkout button specifically to bypass the part of your brain that says, wait, can I actually afford this? Buy now, pay later isn't going anywhere. It's already too profitable, too embedded in how online shopping works, and too politically protected to disappear. The only real defense left is knowing exactly how the trick works, because once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it.
And honestly, this is just one piece of a much bigger pattern, because the same trick, making expensive things feel cheap, is exactly what's happening in an even bigger industry right now, and it's costing people even more than sneakers and burritos. If you want to see how deep this actually goes, that video is right here. I'll see you in the next one.